Greetings, Laylians! Today we're going to be continuing the series of making a page from start to finish. Today, inking. I used to just ink on my pencils directly and then erase everything, but in the erasing it actually destroyed the quality of the inks. So now I use an action that I've made in Photoshop to convert everything to a blue line. The reason that I use a blue line is that most scanners are designed to not pick up blue if they are scanned in black and white mode. That way, just the inks show up and none of the sketches underneath. You can also achieve this effect using a pale blue pencil. It works either way. I just prefer to have the pencils separate because if I mess something up in the inking stage, then all I have to do is print out a new version. That way I can get it right. A lot of artists work on a very large scale and they use brushes instead of ink pens. There's a good reason for this. You can get a lot of emotion and fluidity out of a brush that you just can't get out of a micron pen. And when you work on really large paper, you can have a lot of extra detail work and quality go into it. The problem is that I need things to be portable. I have a very busy schedule, and I don't have a lot of time to draw, so I make time by basically making everything I do as portable as possible. That way, no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing, and no matter where I have to go, I can be drawing and I can be working on pages. So no matter if I'm at home or in a hotel, sitting in front of the TV or on an airplane to somewhere across the country, I can be drawing and I can be working on the next page. What I recommend is trying everything. Try out working with huge paper. Try out working with ink pens and washes. Sometimes try something different just for the heck of it, even if you are pretty comfortable with the system you've worked out. Find what works best for you, what works best for the needs of your comic, and what works best for your lifestyle. Then use that and perfect that. What you see me doing now is going back over my inks a second time to change the line weight. Varying line weight allows you to make your image more complex, give it more depth and shape, and give the impression of shadows. When adding in these thicker line weights, I'm considering where the light sources are in the room, and I'm only adding thickness where the shadows would be. This makes the figures differentiated from the background and gives you a sense of distance as well. The thinner the line, the more light on that surface. Thicker lines also will make your eye gravitate towards them naturally, so that you can use this to make your figures pop out or recede depending on what you want people to pay attention to. Experiment with line weight because it's a great way to give your inks a little bit more power. I'll now show you the completed inks. You'll notice that there are some things that I've marked to change in the computer. We have the technology, so let's make the most of it. I mentioned earlier that scanning in black and white means that most scanners won't pick up the blue line. This is how that looks in action. Since all of my work will go both online and into a book, I need to make sure that it'll fit the proper dimensions. It's not just about getting the right sizing, but it's also about knowing which areas of the page will be safe and which might be removed through the printing process. 3 terms to learn are trim, bleed, and safety margins. The trim is the final size of the product. It is literally trimmed down to this size. Bleed is the line that is past the trim line. Basically, if you want your color to go all the way to the edge of the page, you want your bleed line to extend past the trim line so that the blade, when they cut it down, is right through it rather than next to it, which will give you a white space. The safety margin is the area that things are safe. They won't get trimmed in. So you want to make sure that everything that's really important, key figures, any words, stay within the safety margins. Once I've made sure that all of my panels are within that safe area, I start making corrections. Anything that I might have made a mistake on, or if I wanted to duplicate something such as a static background that won't change, this is the time that happens. You can see that there's lots of little things that can go awry when you do this, so make sure to pay attention to the details. Once I'm satisfied with the inks, it's time to start thinking about color. Now you can add in color flats, also known as color blocks, manually, but I prefer to use 2 plugins which are free online to add in color flats. Now, it may have a very psychedelic look, but there's a reason for this. Each color is very distinct from its neighbors, so that you're not going to have bleed over once you start filling in the actual color blocks. Also, these plugins will flatten these colors that are put in all the way past the lines, so if the lines and the colors get unaligned during the printing process, you don't end up with any weird white spaces where the lines used to be. At this point, I would start putting in the correct colors for each character, using a character color template that I've made. However, when I wanted to go to 3 times a week, I knew that I would need help, so I hired 2 wonderful color blockers to help me increase my speed. This is the product that I send to them, and they send back to me flatted out pages. I'll be sharing these with you in the next video of this series, where we'll cover shading and final effects. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to see more of my work, you can read everything at leylinescomic.com.